Anyone that follows me on the old Bird app knows that when it comes to Bristol dirt, I am absolutely one of the race's strongest soldiers. I distinctly remembered when it was announced and me feeling this sense of unease. How will this work? I asked myself. Will it be entertaining? I pondered. The plan was covering one of NASCAR's greatest short tracks, the High Banks in Bristol, Tennessee, in dirt. Something they've actually done before for sprint car races. They've even turned the track into a football stadium when needs arose. But this was the track's biggest risk yet. In an effort to solve the issue of low turnouts to the Bristol spring race, NASCAR converted Bristol into a dirt track, meaning Cup cars would be on dirt for the first time in over 40 years. The trucks would also be there as the support series, and they were no stranger to dirt, having run the Mud Summer Classic at Eldora from 2013 to 2019. I wasn't one to follow practice or even qualifying back then in 2021. My only taste of how the cars raced was by watching highlights of the truck race the day prior. I would be going into this race with a tabula rasa mindset where Cup cars on dirt were concerned. As the green flag waved and the first few laps reeled off, I instantly recognized the difference between what I was watching and the norm. The cars were sideways, drivers were going high and low searching for grip, the drivers looked like they were hard at work inside the car. It gave me the feeling that most NASCAR fans desire to feel when watching a race on a mile and a half, drivers wrestling with their vehicles and looking like they're actually being challenged as opposed to having a Sunday drive. By the time the checkered flag waved on the event, I was completely sold. Suarez, driving Trackhouse's new number 99 entry, had been a shock contender for the win. Logano eventually beat him out for said win, finishing first right ahead of a Cup driver with dirt experience in the form of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. NASCAR had thought outside the box and implemented an on-track product that made me respect what the drivers were doing as they raced more than I would on a normal Sunday. I needed more. It was much to my sadness that I ended up missing the 2022 edition of the race. However, it was quite a treat rewatching it. That amazing duel for the win between two fresh faces in Cup, Tyler Reddick for Richard Childress and Chase Briscoe for Stuart Haas, duking it out for the win is something I still rewatch to this day when I'm bored. Watching the two of them drive with such aggression yet such caution made me hooked to my screen. Watching dirt racing methods be applied to these big, heavy, powerful Cup cars was a thing of beauty. Briscoe searched for lines that would bring his car the speed it needed to catch the 8 car. Watching the two front wheels on Chase's car occasionally turn right, trying to hook the ground for grip through the corners was simply awesome. And as the laps counted down and the gap closed up, the excitement rose. As Briscoe made his last lap send and ultimately failed, gifting the win to Kyle Busch, my excitement went through the roof. Whether it was the next gen or the cooler temperatures, the racing had significantly improved. We got one more race in 2023 before NASCAR pulled the plug on dirt racing at Bristol, and this time I watched from start to finish, even the heat races that served as qualifying. Yes, heat races, because NASCAR didn't just put Cup cars on dirt, they applied dirt rules as well. Heat races with passing points were now the way of setting the grid. Not only that, but I was seeing names I hadn't seen prior. Jonathan Davenport, late model racing star, was racing for Colleague. Even going back to 2021, a name I originally glanced over was Mike Marlar, who since then I've learned is also a dirt racing great. The race was giving dirt racers with piqued interest in NASCAR an opportunity to try their hand at it in circumstances they were somewhat familiar with. Though I enjoyed Bristol Dirt's last race, I cannot pretend as though it wasn't criticized. Kyle Larson, experienced on both asphalt and dirt, wasn't too impressed with the racing. After being taken out in 2 of the 3 races held, Larson said the Bristol dirt race wasn't real dirt racing, and Jonathan Davenport echoed similar sentiments, with his race being ruined after hitting a spinning Larson. As Christopher Bell held off Tyler Reddick for the win, the sun had set on Bristol dirt for the foreseeable future. The race would be held on the original surface for 2024, a move that resulted in a good spring race this year won by Denny Hamlin. And though I believe the race this year was arguably clear of any race on Bristol's dirt surface, I still miss Bristol Dirt. Missing Bristol Dirt is why I made this video. Bristol Dirt didn't just make me enjoy NASCAR more than I had in years prior, but it also got me to start watching dirt racing series regularly. Now I keep up with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt series, where I watch names like Hudson O'Neal, Ricky Thornton Jr., and Jonathan Davenport do battle. I now watch sprint car racing, something I was originally afraid of doing following the deaths of Jason Leffler and Brian Clausen. I now spend most nights after work watching highlights of names like Haudenschild, Gravel, Abreu, Macedo, Sweet, Schatz, Schuhart, and Kofoid push each other to the limit. Watching cup cars on dirt allowed me to liken the way sprint car drivers look as they're constantly on the limit to cup drivers in a way I don't normally get an opportunity to do. I'm well aware that the logistics behind cup cars on dirt is rather complicated. Either spend a truckload of money to dump dirt on an asphalt track, or find a dirt venue that has the infrastructure necessary to host 36 cup cars and their crews. I've made peace with the fact that cup cars on dirt is something I may never see anywhere in the foreseeable future, but I have it to thank for not only reigniting my love of NASCAR, but introducing me to the world of dirt racing with its many types of cars and personalities and tracks filled with more lore and amazing stories to dig into. Rest in peace, Bristol Dirt. I'll never forget you.